If I were to give an award for Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, it would be an award for pretty much perfect replications of the original Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. The opening shot of this film is a perfect replication of like an episode. It's like I felt like I was a kid again, just watching Mr. Rogers or something. It's just like, wow, it's perfect. Tom Hanks, you acting fool. Why do you do things so perfectly? If there was one thing I would change about this film, the editing I felt was a little too fast paced. Going into this, I felt like it was going to be just a slower film. It was going to have a slow burn with a big payoff, which it did. There was a lot of cutting when I felt like there didn't need to be a lot of cutting. Tom Hanks, the master of being in places where he wasn't originally, like in Forrest Gump, the Arsenio Hall show in this one. Oh boy. There was one moment in this film in which they said they couldn't get a cab in New York City. I'm pretty sure they were in New York City, if my memory serves correctly. I don't know if you've ever been to New York City, but there are cabs there, and there are quite a few of them. And if you couldn't hail a cab, just call one. You can always call a cab. This is one little thing, and this movie was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It touched my heart. But there's sometimes little things where you have to be like, okay, New York City, anywhere really, any city, with no cabs, but especially in New York City, no cabs? Are you kidding me? Before Uber and before Lyft? They did it! I didn't think they would do it, but they did it! They put a minute of silence in this movie. I think it was a minute of silence, I didn't time it. But there's a scene where they're in the Chinese restaurant. Mr. Rogers apparently talks loud enough for everybody in the restaurant to hear him. Or just, maybe everybody's just accustomed to him and they know what's coming. That's kind of what I took. I'm sure that wasn't the first time he had somebody in there to give him the minute of silence. Oh boy, he turned and he looked at the camera. He broke that fourth wall. And I was like, okay, do I actually do my minute of silence too and do what he's asking? Or will I miss a moment of the film? And I do it. Oh, you won't miss anything. So if you want that minute of silence, go ahead and use it. Because it's part of the movie. It's there for you. And if there's one thing I can appreciate in a movie, and I thought this would be the movie that would have a lot of them, it's the long take. This movie closed with a long take, and it was pretty artistic. I enjoyed it. It could have been a little more, but this was Mr. Rogers. This wasn't supposed to be more. I think the beautiful thing about Mr. Rogers is that less is more. He breaks things down to the simplest of the simple, and there's nobody that's doing that right now, and it's crazy. He's so simple, and it's just, whew. This was a great movie though. I loved the narrative of it. There wasn't a documentary, because fortunately they have a documentary on Mr. Rogers that came out like a year ago. So, and it's funny, if you did see this movie and you liked the tent scene, that scene, I don't know if it's on YouTube, but there is a David Letterman clip where Mr. Rogers was on David Letterman and they showed this clip of him trying to set up the tent and like everybody's laughing it felt like they were laughing at him, not with him. But they showed it, like that was a recreation. It's crazy how accurate everything is, thanks Tom Hanks. So that's Movies Are Dumb Sometimes coverage of Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. What did you think? Was this movie dumb sometimes? Did it have some other moments in it that you thought were dumb? Leave them in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. Or you can follow us on Twitter at MoviesAreDumbS, or like us on Facebook at Movies Are Dumb Sometimes. Thank you, and have a beautiful day, neighbor. Wait, why am I wearing this hat for this? Oops.